Nigerians may bear the brunt of the sufferings occasioned by the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, but they seem to have embraced it. Many commended the policy while criticizing the implementation, especially the relatively short notice given to swap the old currencies for the new notes. Joining me on the news to speak more on this is Frank Osugboe, an alumnus of the UN African Institute for Economic Development and Planning. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, the Naira redesign policy by the CBN and federal government has generated a lot of hardship for Nigerians, but the Apex Bank has made a U-turn with regards to the policy. Now, is this a welcome development?
Thank you very much. To a large extent, yes, it's a welcome development. A welcome development in the sense that in the immediate, it can ameliorate or reduce the suffering, the hardship, the pain, and the inconveniences the people are going through. But much more needs to be done. The CBN needs to quicken the process of releasing money to money deposit banks, so that all the ATMs or most of the ATMs can come back alive and people can access their money. Also, every one of us, including the CBN and the presidency, we need to know that what the Supreme Court technically did is to postpone the lifespan of the old 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira notes. What that means is that they've shifted the expiration of the money till December 31st. And this period is for us to actually prepare. Also, the government needs to phase it. They need to transition the change instead of taking an abrupt or impromptu approach like what we've seen. And then another thing the government needs to know is that Nigeria is substantially a sports economy. It is cash driven. It is heavily cash dependent. We buy things and we pay on the spot. Our credit system doesn't really work, and most of the Nigerian population are still elderly people or old citizens. Some of us are still children. So they need to factor this population segment into their planning and into their policies, because they are worst hit. Take, for instance, what happened at Idioro Market in Munshi. The plantain that decayed there, it's a serious loss, very, very serious economic loss on the traders as well as the farmers and the entire agro system in Nigeria. We need to really check things and make sure that we carry everybody along.
Okay, now, so the Supreme Court has, it gave its verdict on the Naira redesign policy, and 10 days after, the CBN has backed the order. Now, do you think that at the end of the day, the CBN will achieve its purpose of curbing illicit financial flows and the cashless policy?
Well, I think the CBN will do what is most important and best for the economy. The economy is not actually the Nigeria in abyss, but the economy has to do with the people, how the economic policies favor the people, not necessarily how it hurts them. So the CBN needs to come up with economic policies that will actually be effective and have positive effects on the citizenry. The CBN should also understand that, fine, they are trying to fight inflation, but inflation that we have witnessed, particularly in Nigeria and parts of Africa, it's been substantially a cost-push inflation, not necessarily a demand-push inflation. If you are addressing or if you want to control cost-push inflation, you focus on price control. The root cause of this inflationary trend that is going on in Nigeria, I think, is from the hike in petrol price, the hike in energy costs, electricity rates, and related public goods. That is the major cause of the inflation we are witnessing. They are essentially cost-push inflation. And if the government, through her policies, should stabilize the prices of these things and stop fluctuating the price indiscriminately. I think when we have a stable price, automatically the inflation will be a little bit less. Moreover, when you also want to, if we're having a demand push inflation, it will be ideal to mop money from circulation, because that means the people have excess disposable cash. But right now, the people don't have excess disposable cash. So the CBN needs to understand that we are having a cost push inflation, not necessarily a demand push inflation, and come up with policies that will actually solve the problem as well as benefit the people, as well as the nation.
Well, Frank Osogbo, an alumnus of the UN African Institute for Economic Development and Planning, thank you for your insight and lending your thoughts.